Hi, everyone. My name is Rosemary Howell. I'm the Associate Curator and Collections Manager here at the Holter Museum of Art. The Holter Museum and Intrepid Credit Union have partnered to create a fellowship that highlights the importance of artists working in Montana. Intrepid has offered a generous $20,000 to allow an artist to pursue their artistic vision and will result in an exhibition here at the Holter Museum of Art. We are joined today by Intrepid Fellowship recipient Julynn Wildman. Julynn's year-long fellowship will allow her to research, choreograph, teach, and create Body in Motion, her vision that will be exhibited at the museum October through December 2021. Hi, Julynn. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you, Rosemary. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Julynn, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your project, Body in Motion?
Yes, so I'm originally from Colorado. I grew up on the Western Slope and in Denver, in the metropolitan area. And I feel really influenced. I think the older I get, the more I realize that the influence of growing up, both in an urban environment where I was able to dance and see a lot of art, and also a rural environment where I was able to spend a lot of time outside and by myself and with the trees and just exploring has really informed my practice quite a bit. So I moved to Helena in 2015 with an AmeriCorps position at Exploration Works. And from there, I began dancing with Cohesion Dance Project. And when my partner and I decided to move back to Helena, it was a really awesome opportunity to kind of dive into the artistic community here and really kind of get to meet the people and the institutions that make a really thriving art scene in a town that isn't like a boom. It's not like Denver sized. It's not even like Billings sized, but there's really a lot of awesome stuff going on. That wasn't about me. That was about Helena.
Well, that's okay. That's where we live. And we're excited to have you here. So can you talk a little bit about Body in Motion and what that is and how you're engaging the community with Body in Motion through this fellowship practice?
Absolutely. Body in Motion is a dance film and a dance exploration of the convergence of human evolution and anatomy, as well as the anatomy and evolution of different beings that live in the world, different animals. Originally, it started off as my exploration about the interrelationship of different parts of our bodies and different sensory organs and sensory systems, and how those are similar or how they are different from different sensory systems in other animals. And that exploration has really led me to identify a couple of characters and a couple of really intriguing relationships that have kind of come to me as a narrative. So the Body in Motion, the final iteration, is going to be a dance film story about a teenage girl who falls into a river and meets all of these different animals that are anthropomorphized and dancing with her and exploring their relationships and their similarities. And it's a really, really intriguing way to find, for me, using that narrative and using that anthropomorphized movement is a really intriguing way to kind of find relationship and express our similarity in a new, accessible way. I've been really, really excited to do some community engagement through this practice. One of the components initially in the research was hosting a few community workshops, and we had people who were able to join at the Holter as well as on Zoom, which was pretty exciting because I got people who were like a participant from Seattle who was able to join in, and participants in Michigan, which is really awesome to be able to get all of that external feedback. And we really kind of dove into this synthesis of movement and scientific research. And I think engaging the community in a similar process that I'm going through as a creator, where I'm taking all of these things, these scientific articles and these books that I'm reading and thinking like, how does that translate into movement, and how does that translate into something that I am then able to share with an audience? Sharing that process gives me so much insight into how other people are interpreting this data, how other people are portraying their interpretations, which in turn gives me more insight into how people can access what I'm trying to portray. So I was really excited about the few community workshops that I was able to do earlier on in this process, and I'm really excited to expand that and do a couple more community workshops closer to the date of the exhibit, maybe during the exhibit. I am planning on including community members in the performances in the dance film. There are a couple of scenes and characters that I would like to open up to the community at large.
Very cool. So it sounds like the community is quite engaged in your process, and you really are taking a lot of feedback, and the community is informing your process as you're working through body and motion.
Absolutely.
How has the Intrepid Fellowship allowed you to pursue your vision?
It's been an amazing opportunity to be able to focus a lot of my time and attention on creating, and the bounds of like what is possible. I feel like a strong point of mine is coming up with ideas and figuring out how to execute them can sometimes feel like such an insurmountable task. I'm like, well, that's a really cool thing in theory, but then how do you actually get it done? And I think the Intrepid Fellowship has really given me the capacity to actually make those things a reality. So when I think about installing a projected dance film, I'm no longer like, that's really cool, but like, how do you get a projector? Like, how am I going to be able to do that? And like I said, the time and being able to have a place to put it feels really, really important, to be able to say like, hey community, I have something to offer and I'd really like your feedback. And also it's eventually going to be given back to you. Like, it's not something that I'm just going to like take your feedback and keep it for myself. I'm looking to make something and engage you back and offer something to you. And so being able to be at the Holter and then being able to have Intrepid support like manifesting this thing, which is like a big and somewhat complicated idea and installation. It's just really amazing.
Yeah, so that's what the Intrepid Fellowship is doing for you, and that is what the point of it is to allow artistic vision to come to light and to make those ideas that seem kind of outrageous a reality. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy that you've been awarded the Intrepid Fellowship.
Thank you. I'm
And
also happy.
and although the exact look and layout of the exhibit is not completely set in stone, do you have an idea for how you want people to interact with your exhibit and what the community takeaway is?
Absolutely. I've been trying to think about how to flexibly arrange the exhibit, just with the uncertainty of how we're going to navigate COVID in the fall, and thinking optimistically and hoping that it can be like as big as it can be, and also being proactive about having contingency built in. One of my major hopes for this exhibit is that it's not just a film. Like, it's not just a film that's projected that you could go home and watch it on your laptop, or you could watch it on your TV, or more realistically, probably a lot of people would want to watch on their phones. And I don't want it to be that sense of like, well, I had to go into a museum just to do something that I could have done at home. So I really want to incorporate a lot of tactile and a lot of experiential components into the actual exhibit. So some of the ideas that I have, and like you said, they're not set in stone, are a tactile stage where you can feel the vibrations of the soundtrack that's playing, which allows you to access a different spectrum of sound that actually a lot of animals are tuned into these frequencies, not necessarily through organs that we consider ears, but through their bodies. And how different is that to experience a film and music when it's through your body? Or I have a couple of characters who explore how differently they see the world. For instance, I have a mantis shrimp who have the largest, most nuanced visual spectrum in the animal kingdom. Like, they perceive and can distinguish colors that we can't as humans, versus a dog who has less color perception than we do as humans. So what is it like to have apparatus where you can watch a film through something that mimics a compound eye, or something that mimics an eye that only has 3 visual cones? So having like actual tactile physical objects that can help navigate this experience of watching. And then I also hope to have the space be its own sensory exploration. I want to give viewers the opportunity to engage with as much research as they would like to. So having places where there is more information, or having maybe an artist book where there's further reading available, but not feeling like you have to come in with scientific vocabulary, or that you have to leave knowing something. I want the takeaway to really be awakening a little bit of introspection about our senses and how we interact with the world. And I think it's something that we live in every day and we kind of take for granted, especially as a very visually dominated culture. We don't necessarily actively think about the things that we feel, or the constant background noise of what we're hearing. We don't think about what we're smelling, or like, you know, even right now, like I'm sitting and I can feel through my feet, and I can feel the surface that I'm sitting on, and I can feel all of my clothes, but I'm not like really thinking about that or anything. Which, and we can't do all the time because we go crazy, but I really want this exhibit to be a chance to really actively engage with that, and then also build like an expanded and opening kind of sense of wonder, I think, about the world around us. And just to think that there are, to go back to this mantis shrimp, to think that there are colors in the world. Like, my reality is this spectrum, and it's beautiful and it's colorful, but there are colors in between. Or if we think about like the infrared and ultraviolet spectrums that we can't perceive without like a mediating technology, those things are there. And the sound waves that other animals, especially the ones underwater, the ones that they feel, those are also there in the world. So I think I just want that takeaway to be like, reality is maybe a little bit bigger than humans experience. And there are like other creatures that experience it differently.
Yeah, absolutely. So this sounds like it's going to be a very engaging exhibit, and engaging idea, and mind opening, and just a heightened sense of awareness. So will you be hosting these workshops or events surrounding your exhibit, and will there be live performances of the dance as well?
That is my hope. Right now, one of my ideas is to build this tactile sound stage where you can engage as a viewer in the gallery while there aren't live performances, but it can also double as a stage for there to be live performers. So if we're in a place where we can do that, and I would love that to be the case. We can offer live performances, and I also am really interested in artist talks or just community talk backs, or like we talked about earlier, these community workshop events that can give another opportunity to engage. Maybe if you have questions about specific things or are looking for more information. I definitely don't have the expansive scientific background to answer all of those questions, but I definitely want there to be events where the questions can be opened up and like thoughts shared and experiences shared, and diving into live performance is a whole wonderful layer in and of itself.
Thank you. And where can the community find out more about you and your practice?
Yeah, so I have a website, embodypraxis.com, and I can spell that out for you later. And you can also follow me on Instagram. It's at July double N, which I'll spell out for you later too. And I think the Holter, increasingly we're sharing some marketing material, so more information about especially the community events or any events pertaining to the website can be found on the Holter website and social media. And yeah, if anybody has questions, feel free to email me at julynn.wildman@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to engage.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Julynn. And thank you all for joining us as we learn more about the Intrepid Fellowship and Julynn Wildman. Julynn's exhibit will be on view October through December of this year. And thank you to Intrepid for supporting artists in Montana. Please keep an eye out for more information and updates regarding the Intrepid Fellowship and workshops and exhibitions, as well as other Holter programming at our website, holtermuseum.org. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thanks, Intrepid.